Dana White just announced Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev in the main event of UFC 319 in August in Chicago, Illinois for the middleweight title. Khamzat's a big favorite right now. I think he's like minus 240 or something, but he's back fighting in the United States for the first time in a few years since he went to war with Gilbert Burns in Florida. Honestly, boys, I think that's going to be one of the biggest MMA fights of all time. South Africa versus Chechnya. The build-up for Dricus versus Khamzat is going to be sweet. There's going to be a ton of trash talk, I'm sure, and I can't wait to see how Dricus deals with Khamzat shooting on him immediately in their wrestling exchanges. Could end up being a war on the feet. Also, Dana just announced Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira in the main event of UFC 317 for the vacant lightweight title at International Fight Week on June 28th. And Ilia posted a tweet saying that he's sorry to Charles and he's just fighting for his dreams. But then he also threw some shade and talked some trash on Islam Makhachev by saying that it's unfortunate that Makhachev ran away. And I'm not sure if Islam is running from Ilia, but I did find it weird that Islam said on Twitter a few days ago that he would not vacate the lightweight title, but then he ended up vacating it anyway. I think Dana and Hunter might have made him do that with their new thing where they don't fully allow double champions anymore because it holds up two divisions, and Islam might have not been active enough. But Dana also confirmed that Islam will be going up to 170 to fight JDM at a future date that we don't know yet. I guess around September or maybe October for the Abu Dhabi pay-per-view. But we're also going to be getting Alexandra Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France is the co-main event at UFC 317 for the flyweight title, which has been rumored for a super long time and should be a solid title fight. But I think Pantoja probably takes that one because he's more well-rounded, but he's getting a bit older, and Kai Kara does have that KO power in his hands for sure. Also, Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov is confirmed too on the main card of UFC 317, with Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano and Brandon Royval versus Manel Kape, which will be the backup for Pantoja and Kai Kara. But it'll also decide who will fight for the flyweight title after Kai Kara does, and that should be a crazy wild fight that we know Kape and Royval are always in, so I'm looking forward to that one big time. Royval's never in a staring match for a fight, and Kape fights hard when he's forced to, and he definitely will be in this one. We're also getting Jack Hermansson versus Gregory Rodrigues Rodrigues and Viviane Araujo versus Tracy Cortez. I'm glad to see Hermansson back, and RoboCop is one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC for sure, so I can't wait for that one. UFC 317 International Fight Week's entire card is looking absolutely stacked and just shows how the UFC is going to be wild this summer, and I absolutely cannot wait. We also got Shara Bullet's next fight in July in Abu Dhabi with a quick turnaround from Marc-Andre Barriault coming off his devastating first round elbow KO win over Bruno Silva at UFC 315 last weekend in Montreal. I think Shara might knock out Barriault because he's a bit slower and more fragile and older, but Barriault can crack in a brawling firefight, so we'll have to see about that one. I'm so hyped with all these fights. We've got Merab versus O'Malley, Topuria versus Oliveira, Holloway versus Poirier, Du Plessis versus Chimaev for the next 4 pay-per-views in a row. The UFC is absolutely cooking this summer. I cannot wait, boys. It seems like the long wait for all these fight announcements was worth it for sure. Comment down below which fight you're looking forward to the most. I'll reply to you. I'll see you guys later.